But going on, the next one I want to bring up is a big question mark around the media landscape, and that's our offensive line. What is that offensive line looking like after 1 week? Now, the downside to this is that it has literally just been 1 week of fall camp, that we have only seen a small amount of snaps with all of these players, and we're going to see them shift around. Early in the camps, you're going to see maybe even a possible future third stringer come in and step in for some first string snaps. That's just to see if he's ready, and if he doesn't compete, then they just end up moving him down later on closer to the season. So you're going to see a lot of rotations, and so far we have seen a lot of rotating, but there was definitely some leaders in a few spots, and we'll talk about some of them that I have read about, some of them that I've heard about. And so first, starting off with Josh Bates and Branson Hickman and the battle that they're going in over center. This is one that was a little surprising to me to hear about, because I really thought that Hickman would be the starter, and I still think that he will be the starter come time of season because of the experience that he has at SMU. And SMU is not the same SMU that we might have been able to talk about a few seasons ago, backing up maybe 5-10 years ago when they were just a small school. SMU is bringing in some big guys, and Branson Hickman is definitely one of those guys. But Josh Bates battling out with him and both of them kind of seeing those first string snaps, to me, is a really good thing. I want to see them get that chemistry where Jackson Arnold feels comfortable with several guys under center snapping him the ball. I don't want it to be a situation where we have somebody come in and there's not that chemistry there. So early on in the fall camp, you really can't be too upset with this. Really excited to see a couple of guys and to see battles like this early in fall camp. So I think this is all part of the design, and I love to see it, and we should love to see it as Oklahoma fans as well. Going on to left tackle, it's been a little bit, again, another battle between Jacob Sexton and Michael Tarkin. This is one that should not surprise anybody. We saw Jacob Sexton come in last year, and he even moved around a little bit, and he was phenomenal with where we needed him to step in. So this is definitely something that I look at, and I think that this is great. So love to see that Jacob Sexton is getting in there, but Michael Tarkin, a transfer from USC, a 6'6", 317-pound dude. For those of you who have not seen this guy standing up against other people out there on the field, this is what we need when we talk about getting SEC ready, especially down in the trenches. So this is something I'm very excited to see. Love to see that from this battle too. So we saw Jacob Sexton a little bit, primarily working at that left tackle right now, but I'm sure we'll see him move around, maybe step in somewhere else further down the line. Jake Taylor, this seems to be a guy that's been filling in at right tackle with the first team quite a bit early on in fall camp. We saw Spencer Brown working a little bit more with the second string team. So this was something, not necessarily shocking to me, but a little bit of a surprise, because Spencer Brown, a transfer from Michigan State, I really expected him to come in. I thought for sure he would be a starter right off the bat, but this is also first week of fall camp. We're not jumping to any conclusions thinking that somebody's going to take somebody's starting position, whatever the case is. But still, with Jake Taylor, the reason why it's not a shock to me, Jake Taylor's been with this team for 3 years now. He's going into his third year. So it'll be hard to beat somebody that has that much experience practicing with this team and then also getting into this system with Coach B. Coach Biedenbaugh, if you don't know who he is, the greatest offensive line coach in college football, in my opinion. I don't know a whole lot of other offensive line coaches, but from what I know about Coach Biedenbaugh and his track record, I have a hard time not believing that he's the best, if not one of the best. Okay, so give me a little bit of a slack there, knowing who he is. But yeah, so Jake Taylor, being his third season coming back for OU, I think it's time. And then going back to Jacob Sexton as well, kind of hearing him, he feels like this year is the year that he's ready to start playing, which is a really good thing to hear from him. But it's also a worrisome thing if he's not a starter this year. I have full confidence in him, in his abilities. But this offensive line is really looking deeper than I think a lot of people are believing. But anyways, moving on to the left guard position, it seems to be Heath Ozeta. it looks like it's his position right now. But Eddie Pierre-Louis has been making some great impressions as a freshman, which is a great thing to see from a freshman stepping in and impressing your coaches early on in camp. I love to see that from him. I love the fact that we've got a freshman stepping in and somebody who would be comfortable stepping in if it came to game time and we needed him to step in at left guard. So love to see that. Going on to Febechi Nwaiwu, a transfer from North Texas. He's actually been playing more with the first string, which is good to see. And I almost want to say that this one's shocking too, but he's been right over Garen Hatchett. Garen Hatchett is a transfer from Washington, a big dude, but he's also been kind of injury prone in his past, and that's been one of his criticisms. And so, I totally understand Febechi stepping in over him there. So, I mean, to see these guys battling it out, this is going to be a really good one. But overall, as long as both of them can stay healthy, I love to see this kind of depth on the bench, especially on the offensive line, which has been, again, one of the biggest question marks for this season for the Oklahoma Sooners. Very excited, very curious to see what I'm seeing there on the offensive line. Everything I've heard so far, specifically from the coaching staff and from insiders, I haven't heard anything bad at all. If anything, it's all been very good news coming from that offensive line so far. From insiders, I'm hearing more just still kind of a skepticism. Who's going to take the starting position? Who's going to be sitting on the bench? How deep are we going to be? How healthy can we stay there on the offensive line? And of course, very reasonable concerns. But when you talk to the coaching staff and you talk to other players, I've heard a lot of good things coming from them in interviews. So very excited going into this upcoming season. And though the nation is going to have their doubts, I have no doubt that with Coach Biedenbaugh and throwing in the mix Coach Schmidt, the strength and conditioning coach, I have no reason to believe that both of these amazing coaches won't have that front ready to go when it comes time for seasons. So, yeah, the offensive line is definitely something that we should maybe watch for and something that we should pay attention to because that is going to be the most important coming into this first season in the SEC. I'm not too worried, though. Hey Sooner fans, did you enjoy this video? Well, if so, please help us out by hitting that subscribe button. If you want to see the rest of this video, you can click over here. Otherwise, we also have more videos right over here. Thank you so much for all of your support. Hope to see you next time. Boomer.